Hello, my name is Robert Smith from Dainton Bell. You're watching a short video, one of a series of 4 designed to help you with your application to Semlup's Growing Innovation Fund. In this video, we're going to look at strategic alignment. That is how your application aligns itself to the priorities of the fund itself and also to Semlup's wider priorities. We don't go into huge amounts of detail in these videos about the priorities themselves. It's up to you to find, read and understand all the priorities that you've got to align your projects to. It's very important that you do that, as it's a key part of the application. You're the only ones who will know how and if your project aligns to these priorities. Let's take a quick look at the priorities for the Growing Innovation Fund itself. In the background on the slide, you can see the 4 areas that are key to this. They are innovation, commercialisation and decarbonisation, which I imagine you would expect to see, but also the 4th one is about a contribution to local priorities, and these are the priorities of the local authority where your business is based. So again, you'll need to obtain those priorities, understand them and how and where your project is going to fit. Please do spend some time reading and understanding these priorities, as again, the closer you can fit or align your project, the much stronger the application will be. It's worthwhile spending some time here. Now, the points on this slide will give you some ideas of the things that you need to think about and show. And when I say show, what I mean really is you need to demonstrate. That's a very key word. Demonstrate how your project hits these areas and aligns itself with the priorities. Think about collaborations. The more organisations you can collaborate with, if that's practical and possible for your project, the better, the wider the impact. Think about how it increases scalability, not just for your business, but across other business areas. Think about your supply chain. How does your project impact on your supply chain? Up and down. As I referred to earlier, thinking about local priorities, those of your local authority, think about inward investment. How might the project bring in investment or create opportunities locally? Think about social values. That's worth spending some time exploring. Does your project have a social value? Often misunderstood, often forgotten altogether, but think about how it might improve well-being in your area. Is it possible that it contributes to your local community outside of the immediate business area? But the key thing to remember is that you demonstrate in your application how they work, where they work. And the second part of this is for you to consider Semlup's wider priorities. Again, make sure you are able to read it and understand it. If there's anything there you're not sure about and it doesn't make sense, please ask. We're here to help you, so work on the basis that the only silly question is the one you don't ask, and get some information to back up, make sure your understanding is correct, etc. Now, you'll need to think about this across all 5 of the areas you can see. But of course, it's possible that you won't be able to align it with all 5 areas. And if you can only align with 3 of 5, for example, say that. Don't try and make something up or create tenuous links to the other areas. They will see through that, the assessors, and that won't create or help to create a strong application. So very, very clear where you can align, be very honest where you can't. Make sure you're familiar with the Clean Growth Grand Challenge, easy for you to say. Also the Future Mobility Grand Challenge. Think about collaboration, innovation, growth, supply chain, and things I mentioned earlier. There are sort of thread running right the way through all of these areas. A couple of areas, other areas that you might want to explore. Can your project lead ideas be a thought leader? Does it contribute to expanding knowledge bases locally, not just your area of business or your sphere of businesses, but across other areas as well? Again, remember, if your project doesn't do some of these things, don't try and show that it does, be honest and upfront about it. Just a few other generic areas really that are worth bearing in mind when you're writing your applications. Be very clear and concise with your writing style. Use colloquial language. You want to show and demonstrate, that's a very key word, demonstrate, provide evidence, give examples if that's possible of your project, so it's as easy as possible for the assessors to understand. What you want them to think is we cannot not give these guys the money. That's really, you want them to be very enthusiastic about the projects and the programme and put it forward as recommended for funding. So evidence, information, examples, impact or outcomes, very concise writing style, use bullet points or lots of punctuation if you need to, especially where you're bound by word limits, to get as much information and detail into your application as you can. But it has to make sense, be clear and be very easy to read. One of the key things I always say to people is be very sharp and punchy with your application. What I mean by that is when the assessor is reading it, they're thinking, oh, wow, yeah, this is good. This is a really good project. Bearing in mind all the time that you have to show how your project aligns to the strategies and priorities of both the fund and SEMLEP and your local authority. Just to reiterate, these videos are best used in conjunction with your application form and the written guidance that comes out with that. If there's anything you're not sure about, please get in touch. Any questions at all, your first point of call is that email address there, giftgrants@semlep.com. Hopefully this has been useful and made sense, and very best of luck with your application.